Hey guys, welcome back. So I just got back from Disneyland and look what I found. The very last Black Series Phase 2 Clone Trooper in the entire park. Now, I want to give a big shout out to the cast member that went to the back to look for, any stock because they found one last one. Maybe somebody was holding it for someone, who knows? Now I have it and I'm super excited to check this out. It's kind of weird because these actually got released early at the Disney parks because these still show on pre-order on Hasbro's website and the shipping's not until May. So it's kind of interesting that Disney got them first, but we have one in hand. This one came out to about $120 with my annual pass discount. So they're not too bad, but I want to compare it to the Master Replicas Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet because that one's actually made using the original digital files from Lucasfilm. So that one's as accurate as it can be. So I want to compare it to this one. Let's see how accurate this one is. So let's go take a look at it. All right, so here it is. And look, the artwork on the box is just beautiful. I think Hasbro just does an amazing job with these Black Series helmets with the digital artwork that's on the box. As you can see there, it has a graphic with the clone trooper there. And let's open it up. Now, the first thing I notice is it's pretty heavy. I think it's the heaviest Black Series helmet that I've purchased, even heavier than the Darth Vader one. Here's some instructions. Obviously, it has a little voice changer that you need batteries for. But yeah, let's take a look at this guy. Now, here it is. Man, this thing is just beautiful. I mean, again, I think Hasbro just keeps on surprising me, honestly, because for $100 and something bucks, you don't expect these to be in great shape. I don't know. I just expect them to be little toys. And every single time, they just feel so heavy. They look great. The interior of the helmet looks great. So let's go take a look at it a little bit closer and let's analyze it a little bit. So right off the bat, I mean, if you weren't an expert, right? And not that I am an expert or anything like that, but right off the bat, I mean, this looks like a legit Clone Trooper helmet, right? A Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet. I mean, it looks beautiful. The size is great. It just feels like a nice, heavy helmet. Now, as far as the color, it is a little kind of whiter than I expect from, Clone Troopers. And you'll see what I mean when you see it next to the Master Replicas one. Just because in the Star Wars helmet world, there's this very specific white for Stormtroopers and Clone Troopers. It almost has like a kind of like a creamier tint to it. You'll see what I mean. Here you could see some of the seam lines for the batteries. Obviously that little part pops off and that's where you're going to put the batteries in for the voice changer. We're not really going to be reviewing the voice changer. There's a lot of other videos that will be doing that. Mostly I want to take a look at this helmet and analyze it compared to a screen accurate one, which is going to be the Master Replicas one. Now, this is the little button that you push to basically activate the voice changer. And again, right off the bat, this is a beautiful helmet. I'm really impressed. So I think we should take a look at this one compared to the Master Replicas. And as you could see there, the color, right off the bat, you could see that the Hasbro one is just a kind of a brighter white than the Clone Trooper. Now, another big difference that I noticed is that the cap on the Master Replicas one is, you could definitely notice that it kind of sticks out a little bit as opposed to the Hasbro one. It's a little more flush. The other thing you could see there is that the little, I guess, ventilators, I don't know what those are really called, but on the Master Replicas one, they're painted. Obviously on the Hasbro one, you could see there, they're actually indented. So it's part of the mold. But so far, so good. Especially like these the little aerators, the mic tips is what I like to call them. They look pretty good on both of them. As you can see, the frown is pretty accurate on that one compared to the Master Replicas one. You do start seeing the Master Replica one is a little bit narrower, and you can't really notice it unless you kind of really focus on it. Really well. Now, they both have the grills on the frown, as you could see there. So I like the fact that Hasbro kind of, added that extra little touch just to make them more accurate. Here's the little aerators. If you notice, the pattern is a little bit different. If you look on there, it's actually kind of inverted. I don't know if you can see that, but see how like the little ovals are black on this one. On this one, the ovals are silver, if that makes any sense, right? They're inverted. No big deal. You can't really tell. Oh, here's a little bit closer up so you can see. Like I said, unless you're hyper picky about it, it's not a big deal. Now, the other thing is that they missed a little silver paint on that little piece in the front, but again, not a huge deal. Yeah, the little side stripes are painted on the Master Replicas one. Like I mentioned before, on the Hasbro ones, they are part of the mold. But again, look, from the front, they look great. I mean, the Hasbro one so far has me very, very impressed. Now, the height of the Mohawk is a little bit shorter on the Hasbro one compared to the Master Replicas one, as you can see right there. So there is a little bit more height. I think as it should, right? I think even in the cartoons, you could see that the Mohawk is a little bit higher. Now, here's where you start seeing the difference, right? Now, one of the key differences, like I said, is the cap, right? On the top part of the helmet. This one's very flush to the helmet, and the color, right? It's a little bit lighter than the Master Replicas one. Plus, you could see the seam line there where the frown connects to the helmet. The Master Replicas one is a solid fiberglass piece, so it's not going to have those seam lines. And then if you notice the top part, the helmet part, it's not flush, right? There is that very clear division, and the color is darker on the Master Replicas one. And as you could see, the little rectangle on the ear part is colored differently, and it is a little bit different shape. Now, here's the biggest difference, right? And it's obvious. It's obvious why they did it. The Hasbro one obviously has some electronics there, but as you can see there, that back little circle part is smooth on the Master Replicas one. That's how it's supposed to be, as opposed to the Hasbro one. It has these little lines kind of embedded in it. Like I said, you could see the seam lines there because that's the part that you're going to be able to pop off to put the batteries in. So I could definitely see why Hasbro had to make some concessions to accommodate the electronics, just like all the other helmets. So again, not a huge deal, but here is kind of when you're starting to see there's a difference. Now, you could definitely see that the Hasbro one is just kind of wider, right? It's almost like they took the helmet and they stretched it out, from the front to the back. And you could see some of the indentations there is kind of the key differences, right? The cheek line there on the Master Replicas one is narrower and it goes higher. And then that kind of rectangle little step section, as you could see there, the Master Replicas one is also a little bit narrower, and the Hasbro one on the left is just longer, I guess. It's kind of weird. It's like they took the liberty of just stretching it, which is, again, not a big deal. I don't think most people would notice this unless you're putting it next to the Master Replicas one. The Master Replicas one is lined and padded on the inside. Again, doesn't have all the cool little electronics like the Hasbro versions do. And I really like that about the Black Series helmets. Is I like the fact that they're kind of taking that extra step to make them all, cool looking inside. And of course, the Hasbro one has the little button for the voice changer. But again, look, I think for the money, it's well worth it. I'm a big fan of these Hasbro Black Series helmets, especially for collectors that are starting out, because again, you can't really notice the difference. Now, If you want to get picky, obviously you could see there that the visor is a little bit pointier on the top part than it needs to be. It's a little bit narrower, but not a huge deal. Now, I also wanted to put it next to the 501st version. This is also a Master Replica's helmet, but then this is the 501st version. And again, size-wise, it's exactly the same. Obviously, this one's using the same exact mold as the clean version of the Master Replicas one, so there's not going to be a lot of difference between, you know, the 501st and the clean one. But again, I wanted to just put it next to it just so you could see it in contrast, especially with the colors, right? You could definitely see that the Hasbro one is just a nice clean white. Although not accurate, it definitely just kind of gives the impression of a nice clean clone trooper, right? But overall, I think this clone trooper helmet is beautiful. I think it's well worth the money, you know, and especially for what, $130, definitely recommend you going out and grabbing one of these. They look beautiful. It displays beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell, because I've heard that a lot of my subscribers are not getting my latest videos. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and look out for my next video. Thanks, guys.